and victory.
All right, so welcome back to the WCG USA National Finals live right here from New York Comic-Con, brought to you by Samsung Notebook Series 7 Gamer. Again, I'm Corey Dunn alongside Lord Farquaad, and we're about to get underway with the winner bracket finals between War and Peace. They'll be facing off against Team Curse. Let's go ahead and talk about the road that Team Curse has had to go on.
So Team Curse facing Band Angels right off the bat. Those two teams, actually, I haven't mentioned it really before, but they have a long history. They've fought each other a lot on multiple levels, not just in tournaments, but in clan wars, everything. They fight each other all the time. So, you know, they were all hanging their heads kind of, oh, we get to fight them again right off the bat. But great battles by both teams, actually, in that round.
Yep.
Going to full 5 again, as we've been saying, and Curse moving on. Then War and Peace fighting Boishti, which, you know, newcomer, no one really knew what to expect. Boishti does seem to struggle, probably partly due to the fact that it's just a new environment for them. And they were telling me, you know, they had some holes in their team. It sounded like not everybody they wanted to be here was able to be here. So that can have a pretty big effect as well. So, you know, it was a good effort. Glad to see them here, and we'll probably see them again. I doubt that's the last we've seen from them, but War and Peace beating them 3-0. So now we have War and Peace against Team Curse here.
All right, so right now we're on Runeberg, and we're on board here.
Looks like we are. There we go. We're looking at Team Curse right there.
Yep.
And look at that! Look at that beautiful line right there. We see it again.
Screenshot. Take it. All right.
Take it. Yeah. There we go.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you ask for, right?
It's so pretty.
It is so pretty. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a guy, but big armored things with guns lined up like that, that's just cool. That's just cool. And
that is pretty cool looking.
And it looks like Band Angels is kind of has an odd formation. If we can switch over to Band Angels there. They're out. Oh, and nice shot all the way across there, taking that T1 out, taking the spotter out. Again, as Conflict was just telling me in that interview we just had, you know, they really like to take out the spotters, eliminate the enemy spotters. That way they control the map. They know where everyone is.
Yep.
Sorry, War and Peace. I keep saying Band Angels. We're not. This isn't Band Angels. This is War and Peace. I don't know why I keep saying that.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah, I know.
I'll let it slip once.
Thank you.
Don't let it happen again.
I really appreciate that one-time slip there. So, anyways.
No, they are working as like a complete unit here as they kind of move up again. They're continuing to hold that formation. They've got one person making sure that there's no one on the flank.
Yep. And it just looks beautiful again, moving up as a unit, and you notice that spacing again. The reason it really looks beautiful is because everyone is actually spaced perfectly to allow the guy behind him or next to him to have good shots.
Exactly.
And so that actually makes it look.
You can actually see that the fourth tank back that it actually can see through between the front two.
And we're looking at on this. We're actually talking about Team Curse, but on the stream here, you can see. Okay, there we go. Now we're switching to what we were talking about, but we see on the stream that War and Peace is doing almost the same thing. They're sitting there lined up, except that I believe they're on the east side of this road. They're like down here, and so they're kind of lined up opposed to each other. And it looks like they're going to start to actually meet here in the middle a bit.
Well, it's like kind of one of those things that it says, okay, let's move to Delta 2, and we'll go ahead and set up in the U formation.
Right, there you go.
And then let's just kind of working from there. I mean, they can pull up MS Paint and start to put the dots on.
Well, we do use some tools. There are some mapping tools that we actually use for this kind of stuff. You'd be surprised the hours spent trying to plan out what kind of strategy is going to be run.
Not surprised.
No, you probably wouldn't be.
The passion that goes into
exactly.
gaming, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys, you know, they come from a Clan Wars background. And
yeah, for sure.
You know, it's 3, 4, 5 hours
Makes
every
even more
night.
Sense.
You know, that you're spending at least a couple hours just preparing, not even in the battle. You know, and then you get into battle.
You spend about 2 weeks preparing for one matchup,
right,
just to play
exactly.
30 minutes.
Right, if that, right?
Yeah.
It's like 15 minutes and it's done, and it probably doesn't even last that long. The average World of Tanks game lasts about 7 or 8 minutes.
Hey, but it's those 7, 8 minutes, that's where it all counts.
Yep. So
again, just kind of working the formations on both teams.
Yeah,
I mean, right now,
Team Curse is down a spotter, so that's probably what's allowed War and Peace to move around a little more. They have that, they up, and there War and Peace pulls out, takes some pretty good damage, manages to get 2 shots off on the 5100s. Notice they are focusing the 5100s, not the IS3s. The IS3s are almost completely holed down there in front here. These two guys, they're almost invulnerable where they're at because of the rubble in front of them blocking their holes, but these 5100s are just too tall. So they said, let's go for the easy targets in the back, plus they tend to dish out a lot of damage, so might as well get them out of the way.
Yeah. So both of them kind of falling back. You've got one. Oh, nice hit. Drops him down to 12%,
and he's gone. He is gone, and the other spotter is down as well for Team Curse. That's going to hurt. It's going to be hard to come back from that. Team Curse also just realized they have what looks like a 5100 behind them. He's sneaking in behind. He's actually getting on the cap right now to put that pressure on Team Curse. So they're sending the 5100 back. Unfortunately, this 5100 is already damaged. So that's going to... and he misses a shot.
No.
That's probably going to cost him. Looks like I have a feeling that War and Peace is going to come out of this significantly ahead. They're going to take out that 5100. Yep, there he goes. You know what? 3 tanks down. War and Peace hasn't lost any. This is going to be really difficult for Team Curse to come back from. That's just a tier 1 there. I was like, wow, where are all those shots coming from? It's just a little tier 1. He's kind of waving his hand. Hey, look at me. I can't do anything to you, but look at me anyways. And it looks like they're all headed back to cap. I can hear them actually through my speakers yelling at each other, telling each other where to go. And there comes the roll-in. There comes the roll-in by War and Peace, pulling in together, trying to get off those shots. And they're forcing. Okay, but let's see if Team Curse may be able to pull it off here. War and Peace is not focusing their fire on individual tanks very well.
That's Caesar, who's right there in that conflict between the two.
And War and Peace is not going to come out of this well. I have a feeling Team Curse has just turned the table here. Okay, there's that 5100. He's taking some rough fire, though.
5% across on both sides.
This is so close.
This could be huge for them.
And this is probably the end of this IS3 right here. Yep, there he goes. So all that's left
just like that.
5100's down 2. Wow, what a reversal by Team Curse. That was some beautiful play, and it looks like this match is going to go to Team Curse. All they have left is tier 1s, and they can't actually penetrate any of these guys, so not too much to worry about there. Beautiful, beautiful play by both teams, quite frankly. I mean, this was close. I thought for sure with the 5 to 3 or 6 to 3?
Yeah, I know for a fact it was 5 to 3
at least
one point.
5 to 3. And then Team Curse just pulling it out. I think War and Peace, they had it there, and they didn't focus fire on those IS-3s when they pulled around. They just did not focus it as well. That's what we've been talking about. You have to focus your fire. You don't do it, just like any other shooter, if you don't focus, you don't win.
Yeah, so one of the things that's kind of interesting, though, is that whenever you're playing a game that is built around numbers and you know that you have an advantage, sometimes you may be over-aggressive and you might put yourself out of position. And I think that's kind of what happened there is they went for that kill. They wanted to get that tank out of the action, but in fact they left their backside open, which allowed them to come from multiple sides. So from there they kind of crashed down on them and took advantage of that opportunity.
Then they sent. It was a little odd what they did when they rolled in with their heavy team. They sent 2 of them after one, and then they sent one after another.
Yep.
And it didn't make a whole lot of sense. This guy, the T-32, got out of position, went way too far, and now he's being hit, like you said, from multiple angles. While these 2 guys, the 2 IS-3s that they sent after the one IS-3, were not actually able to finish off that one IS-3. If that T-32 had just gone with them and put shots on the same tank, he would have been gone, and they would have had it easily, I think. But, they just, like you said, they got over-aggressive. They pushed too hard with one tank, and it cost them the game.
It's just it's interesting to me because I see it time and time again because I watch a lot of course, first-person shooters, and what we see is even though it may be a one versus situation, if we're talking about, again, relating back to the numbers game, it may be a one versus situation, but what that does is it kind of works in the favor of that one individual because what happens in turn is they're going to start to play a little bit more aggressive. They're going to start to play out of their element a little bit more. And so what we see from what happened, my assumption from War and Peace, is they started to get out of their element and go for those kills. They went for those tanks, trying to eliminate them and trying to just win the match, when in fact, if the game playing a little bit more methodical, then they would actually kind of probably turn the tide there and kind of worked it out.
Yeah, I mean, they were doing great. They had great momentum, and, like you said, they were being very methodical, moving everything in at the right time, the right groupings.
Their grouping was excellent.
Yeah, it was. It was great, and then they just, they let themselves get overly aggressive once they thought they had it, and they lost it. So, lesson to be learned there for sure. Don't be overly aggressive. It's easy. It's really easy to do when you think you have the game, and you give the game up because you play a little too hard. You make some, quite frankly, noobish mistakes. You know when you watch that, you shouldn't have done that.
They can take a look back at the VODs and realize, or even in that instance, they knew that they probably overextended.
I have a feeling they knew as soon as it happened, we went too far. These are all great players, so they know when they make a mistake, and they probably realize that as soon as it happened.
Again, right now you're watching the winner bracket finals here at the WCG USA National Finals, live right here from New York Comic-Con, brought to you by Samsung Notebook Series 7 Gamer. Again, it's been a great matchup so far, especially just watching World of Tanks. I mean, over just the beginning whenever we first started watching this series, this is my first time to really, honestly, I won't lie to the viewers. Of course, viewers already probably understand that this is actually my first time to really dive in deep with the competitive side of World of Tanks and just learning and watching the playing style of these competitors. I mean, you can see right off the bat that they're top notch, and making those slip ups and making those moves that they shouldn't have. You can really already understand that these professionals, these guys who they spend a lot of time playing these games. You've said that they've had their trip over to Moscow and stuff like that. So they understand. They know that what it takes to be at the top level of their game. So I'm just happy to be a part of just watching a team not only come out from this tournament, but then also represent the U.S. over there in China at the World Cyber Game Finals.
For sure, and I definitely look forward to a rematch, so to speak, for the U.S. and probably facing off a Eastern European and European teams again. We had some great matches at Ural Steel, and look forward to some great matches again at WCG.
I will be watching. I will have my American flag in my...
Not painted on your chest or anything?
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get ready for this matchup again. Kirsch leading this one, this best of 5 series against War and Peace by 1 as we head into map number 2. And, of course, this was selected here by War and Peace.
So, taking a look at this map, like you just said, selected by War and Peace, it's Prokhorovka. So we saw this one earlier. This is the one that there was that kind of long spotting war going on between Band Angels and Curse, I believe it was. And looks like Team Curse is going to move out to the east right away. They're moving really fast. Again, very similar lineup to what we saw earlier. Actually, I think it's exactly the same. So we have 2 Pershings, 2 1390s, and the already T2 Lite, of course. Now, once again, here we're down a monitor, so you're going to get to see exactly what Team Curse sees here. So you can kind of get the feel, so to speak, of what it would be like to try and guess what's going on. You only get very limited view. You only know where certain tanks are when you spot them. So it looks like here we have the artillery piece getting into position. Going to get in this, looks like the back right corner. Generally, they tend to stay in the corners. They have to be careful when they fire, artillery do, because they get spotted pretty. They have a big tracer around when they fire, so enemy artillery can counter them fairly easily. And it looks like they're positioning up here in the center, kind of taking control. There's kind of a little bit of a hill here, in the center, and you want to try and take control of that. Looks like that's what they're trying to do while spotting with these 1390s. So I kind of expect that to happen. Unfortunately, let's see. I can actually see where the other team is, where War and Peace is. So War and Peace is very much where Band Angels was actually when on that match when they played each other. But they may be waiting to light up anyone that comes over this ridge here that we're looking at. So across the train tracks, that can be pretty dangerous if those looks like IS-3s are just overwatching from the 1-2 line. And that's where most of Band Angels are, on the 1-2 line, except a couple 1390 spotting in the mid and the little T1, which is kind of what we would expect. So I have a feeling it's going to go into a bit of a spotting game. But again, it's only 10 minutes in the game, so you don't have too much time to play around with before you have to push, or you end up with a draw. And I don't think anyone wants a draw on their record here. So everyone kind of up, and they're taking down. Once you take down these train cars here, you can actually shoot through them. So they're just taking those down. That's War and Peace taking those train cars down because they're pushing. They're pushing. That way they're able to push Team Curse's tanks down. All right. So I believe we have the feedback from War and Peace. So if we can take a quick look over at War and Peace, see how they're set up, and kind of get a feel for what they're doing. War and Peace, they've moved down to the E line. Most of their tanks are at about E2. And okay, looks like they're pushing south. I guess we can't get over to them yet, but as soon as we can, we will. But most of them are pushing south, which is a very, very interesting choice. While Team Curse is kind of, there we go. There we see some of the War and Peace team, very spread out, but again, push towards the south. I'm kind of interested to see how that works for them. While most of Team Curse in the north, except for that, is it that T2 light? I believe that's the T2 light there. He's running up the 3 line, but I don't think he spotted anyone from War and Peace. War and Peace just kind of waiting in ambush almost. So typically in this kind of situation, when you have a very enclosed map, open map like this, a lot of times it comes down to both teams will wait till 3 or 4 minutes left in the match, and then they'll make a hard push, because then they can have someone hiding in the back, and the other team doesn't have enough time to counter it. So
wow.
If they're nice shot by the 261. That's an artillery shot on that light. Those are not easy to make.
And he was moving sporadically through the map too.
Yeah, he was. So beautiful shot. Who do we have there that made that shot? I think it's Patriol. So I think Pat, whom we talked to earlier, made that shot. Looks like we have a bit of a 1390 duel, and looks like Team Curse is going to come ahead on that one, taking out the 1390 for War and Peace.
Friction under a lot of gunfire there.
Slider being taken out. Ooh,
missing.
All over the place. All over the place there. And there's the other 1390. It looks like they're being a little cautious. They're pulling up the Pershings now. I don't think they've spotted those IS-3s yet. Maybe they have, but I haven't seen them light up yet. So that's a bit of a concern. You know, if you haven't seen those IS-3s, the biggest guns on the map, you really want to know where they are. It's kind of an issue if you don't know where they are. So let's see what they're doing with the Pershings here. There we go. All right. Still just kind of cruising through the mid. I think everyone's a little nervous still, especially Team Curse probably. They're not sure where those IS-3s are. We have some T1 warfare up, and Team Curse comes ahead. Oh, but not for long. 1390 was right there to finish that one up. So again, we see good unit play by War and Peace, keeping that 1390 just behind the Tier 1. So the T1 looks at the other T1, kills them, but then the 1390 is right there to finish the job. And that takes some more eyes away from Team Curse. Now they're limited to their 1390s, one of which is fairly low at 38%. So they're going to have to be careful. Only 3 3 3/4 minutes left, so I'm imagining there's a push going to come here. War and Peace have actually pushed up to the north now. Again, they're changing where their IS-3s are all the time, as we see here on the monitor. I think they're just trying to be really unpredictable because Team Curse has not seen their IS-3s yet. That would make, I know that as a player, that would make me nervous. Those are two massive guns, and I don't know where they are. That definitely makes you nervous. Even though you're ahead hit point wise, still want to be really careful.
They have been spread out throughout the entire map at this point. And then you look back over, you've got I apologize. You got War and Peace, who's just they've set up shop.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for Curse to come in, and at this point they're at a War and Peace at a disadvantage tank wise.
It's a good positioning to be in because you can see where they're at. I mean, they're very close within proximity to seeing what the capture point there, so they know that area is on lock, and so. It's a decent setup. I mean, again, it goes back to if they need to, they can put that heavy power onto whoever tries to make the move in. They spotted one though.
And when we do look over at War and Peace's setup, you'll notice all of them are in the bushes.
Yep.
So they're making use of those bushes as cover. Those bushes are acting as
spotting
visual
a bunch.
cover.
We're about to see something happen here,
it looks like they just spotted. Curse just spotted the first IS-3. So fire is probably going to go out on that IS-3. Team Curse here has a huge advantage. War and Peace has a huge advantage when it comes to artillery. They have a tier 8 as opposed to only a tier 7. So, again, that's probably a debatable advantage as one's going to fire faster than the other. This particular tier 7 fires pretty fast. But the tier 8 will just about take anything out with one hit if it manages to hit.
All right, so both of them, you got two of them that have been spotted, both of them.
Oh, and an arty shell going in on the IS-3, but looks like this 1390 took a lot more damage out of that. Their 1390 is trying to come in on the IS-3s, and they're just kind of see this how they're just surrounding them. Oh, and they're going to run into each other. That may cost them right there because nope, they were able to take out that IS-3.
This is going to be that battle that kind of figures out who's going to take this map.
Yep, I think this one is going to go to Team Curse, just with the way it's lining up here. Yep. Yeah. Artillery shell on that guy. Only 2 left against 4. It's a really hard comeback to make, especially since one of War and Peace's, the 1390, is down to 10%. They do have to be careful approaching this artillery piece, though, because he can, like I said, he can one-shot anything. Okay, they spotted him. Nope, and he goes down. Nice shot.
That's going to do it right there.
That was a very nice shot by Fox. There, so beautiful play. So now, Curse up 2-0 against War and Peace.
So Curse, again, just they've been playing very strong. Of course, what we saw against the Band Angels, though, in their first matchup here in this tournament, they did go 2-0 against Band Angels, and that's when we saw everything change, where Band Angels got everything together. Then they came back and put up 2 rounds against them as well. So definitely, there's a chance that we can see War and Peace work their way back. I mean, this is a best-of-5 series. It doesn't matter which 3 you win. You just have to win 3 of them.
Right, and that's all that matters. So definitely, like you said, we saw with Band Angels. We could see it here. That first match was really close.
Yes.
And the second one really wasn't too bad. Most of the tanks were low. Team Curse just did a really good job of rotating the injured tanks out and putting in the ones that were full health, and then bringing those injured ones around to do fire without actually having to take damage. So great job by Team Curse on the rotation.
We had a lot of chance to actually see Team Curse kind of spread out throughout the map. I mean, what I was kind of getting at beforehand is that they've started to scan and they've checked spots. I mean, it's such an open map. I mean, you have the opportunity to know where thhere they're not, and which in fact would kind of tell you where they are.
Exactly.
And so I kind of, although they may have not known exactly what bush they were in, they at least knew where they were at.
Right. They knew what section of the map they were in.
And that's a huge portion of something like that. Of course, you have to, then you're forcing them to have to focus fire from different angles. I mean, so that you got multiple tanks rolling in from different sides. They have to communicate extremely well. They all have to make their shots, and it narrows the chances to be able to win that battle.
Right, and it's all about that. Once I think War and Peace, once they started playing really defensively. Again, as I mentioned earlier, once you start playing defensively, you've almost lost it for your team in a lot of ways, because as we saw, Curse was then able to get visual control of the map. They knew where everyone was. Like you said, War and Peace, Not sure which way they're coming from. They could be anywhere on the map, just not sure. They're not able to keep those eyes out there anymore.
Well, you know, it came down to it. I mean, you had mentioned that the battle should probably start right whenever there was about 3 minutes left. Well, within that 7 minutes that had passed at that point, we had seen so much ground covered there by Team Curse.
Right.
And so then, you now have control of knowing where they're at, and you know exactly what they're doing. And at that point, you still have the numbers kind of working there in your favor, and you just kind of you figure out a strategy at that point. That may have been what they were doing because they kept their members spread out throughout the map the entire time.
And then they brought them together only at the end when they were ready to actually make the push.
Properly executed. Again, it's what it's a team-based game. I think that's what everyone needs to know about any team-based game. There's the word team in front of it for a reason.
Right. Yeah, it is about the team. It's not about one guy. One guy will never win it for you, pretty much.
No. I mean, there's those rare chances, but
yeah, I mean, every once in a while somebody has a great game, and just manages to be in the right place at the right time, but not. You wouldn't bet on it,
Everyone has a job. It's a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. And if your machine isn't as well-oiled as the next guy's, then you're probably going to lose to him.
Yep. So, all right. So we've got a third map that we're going to be going in here in just a moment, and
looks like Himmelsdorf is the map. So we've seen this one quite a bit today. Again, teams are choosing some fairly old maps because they're probably because they're more familiar with them.
Yeah. So also, of course, anytime that we have any kind of downtime, if we go to a commercial, I always recommend to pull up in your browser on another site if you're watching from home. If you're not, if you're passing by here at the New York Comic Con, make sure you head on over to twitch.tv/WCG USA. And if you're at home and you also want to see what's going on at the New York Comic Con, there's a bunch of event coverage with panels and interviews and much more at twitch.tv/WCG NYC. Of course, you can probably I believe you can even just go straight to the front page of twitch.tv.
I believe so, yeah.
Both of them are there for you. So there's been a lot of great action that we've seen. Yesterday we saw Crossfire. Of course, hopefully those of you at home will actually get the chance to see some of those VODs from that gameplay. You're going to have the team representing there for the U.S. and going across seas and showing what they have to offer there for the WCG finals. We'll see what happens here in the finale here for World of Tanks. Again, we're in the winner bracket finals right now, 2-0 here in favor of Curses. Right now, the map is loading, and let's see if War and Peace can
pull it off.
Put a scratch up on the board.
Yeah, even if they're not able to, just mention that. Even if War and Peace is not able to win here, they're not out of it because they then go down to the losers bracket and will face off against Band Angels for a chance at the final. So whoever loses here is still not out of the game.
Also, I want to mention real fast, make sure you swing on over to the WCG USA Facebook page. That's facebook.com/WCG USA for your chance to participate in winning a Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 contest. Of course, we're asking you to make sure you pair up your favorite comic book hero against a video game villain. Interesting. And who would win and why? Leave your comment for a chance to win. So that's over at the Facebook page, facebook.com/WCG USA. So let's go ahead and put that aside. Let's focus on the action here between Curse and War and Peace, with Curse having a 2-0 lead in this map count.
Both teams look like they're pushing out pretty aggressively to the 3-4 line. On Himmelsdorf so far, we've seen most of the focus actually hinge on the 7-8 line. But it looks like between these teams, it's going to be much more focused. Oh, I don't know, though. It looks like Team War and Peace just pushed up, took out the light on the far side. They're kind of switching it up. Looks like they're approaching from both sides. For War and Peace, they're kind of moving around a lot. It's hard. I mean, I can see where they are on the map, and it's hard for me to figure out exactly what they're doing.
Let's go ahead and switch over to the other game here. Yeah.
There we go. So it looks like Team Curse has kind of been pushed back into a corner in on this alley, I guess, the D line. War and Peace kind of trying to work their way down there. It's going to be hard to do, though. Both teams are kind of hold down here. So
both spotted as well.
Yeah, they're both spotted. They're both hold down. Team Curse, though, let's take a look at this. They're pushing around. They're pushing around here, trying to flank War and Peace up, and they're going to get shots off. Oh, and down to 60%. That's rough. It's still not a tank out of the game, though, and as we know, unless the tank is out of the game, it's not necessarily an advantage.
Still got gun power.
It's not necessarily an advantage. They do have, Team Curse has definitely given themselves an initial hit point advantage here, which is important. But you still have to concentrate your fire, focus your fire to get those guns out of action.
I think there's going to be a stalemate for a little bit, just kind of waiting for someone to kind of make a move. I think the action might happen on the other side. Oh, look over here, just close range, able to push up here.
They're trying to get shots off at each other, but they're not really at good angles to do it.
Utilizing that debris.
There we go, and it looks like this IS-3 is actually able to get off shots. That's Soviet right there. He's actually able to pull off some shots against the T-32. Oh, T-32 is able to return fire.
He's in a tough spot now.
See this T-32 here, once he gets up close, his turret is almost impenetrable, but the IS-3 can still be shot right through, so he has to be really careful. Oh, and looks like we got some action going on over here.
We're now at 6% for someone.
Team Curse trying to roll around on these guys. Not looking good for War and Peace right here. There, oh man, a miss right there. That's going to severely cost them. Looks like they are going to, War and Peace at least, is going to lose both of these IS-3s to Team Curse. That's
Tarantula is about to go down here in just a second here for War and Peace.
And, he's hitting, but I don't think he's taking his time with the shots. Look like he just bounced off the turret there. And there goes Tarantula for War and Peace. Back to the center here. War and Peace making a push, trying to make some kind of comeback, but I don't think it's going to work.
Tonka.
Yeah, they're just getting absolutely surrounded. Again, we have over here, I believe that's Soviet still keeping that... keeping Farva out of it. He's just trying to keep Farva out of the action, keep him away. They were able to isolate and eliminate the other T-32. Now they're going to come in, sending this IS-3 around to flank him. And as soon as he turns around to engage this IS-3, the rest of them are going to push up right on him. I can almost guarantee it. Yep, and there they go. Kind of giving him the 1-2, so to speak. He goes down super fast right there.
Another tier 1, one more tier 1 to last here.
So I think that's it. Curse will take it 3-0.
Yeah, so I mean, if just looking at what happened, I mean, War and Peace put up a good fight there.
They did.
Map number 1, and then in the second map, it was an interesting strategy. Of course, time will tell, literally. And it kind of got to that point where, got into 3 minutes left into the game. So what we're going to see, a matchup between Band Angels and War and Peace. We have not seen this series yet. We haven't seen this matchup yet. So
it'll be on steps. So that's been that really open map. Not to be confused with Prokhorovka. Steps is the one that has gone much faster. So we'll see what happens there. Again, that's just the first map. After that, each losing team gets to choose the map. Looks like this one will definitely go to Team Curse. So congratulations to Team Curse. We'll probably be interviewing one of them momentarily. And then we'll see up next War and Peace versus Band Angels. That's sure to be a good match as well. Very curious to see how that one turns out.
That's such an interesting thing. Whenever you go from a team, we play against Boiste, and you win 3-0, and then you go into your next series and you lose 3-0. It's a tough thing to kind of battle with, a pretty difficult confrontation that you have to surpass. But then you have to just reset, because also the exact same thing has happened for Band Angels. They 3-0'd Boiste as well, and they're going into their next matchup. One of the things that I actually hadn't thought about is, and another thing that I love about matchups that force the player that's been taken out of the game. For instance, whenever a tank is taken out, then they have to watch the rest of their team. Now, there's two different functionalities that come into play. One, it can be emotional. It can start to make you think, okay, what did I do wrong? And so it can also be a building experience in that turn as well. Or you can be there to kind of spectate and kind of work with your teammates and kind of deliver information that maybe they're not seeing, and to kind of just communicate with your team.
From my experience, that is, as soon as they're dead, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to deliver that extra bit of information. The more eyes you have on something, the more you can see, so to speak, because one person, the battle leader, can't see everything. He may have been looking at the main screen shooting at somebody when that one guy was spotted down in the bottom right. That was just absolutely crucial to the strategy.
Well, exactly.
So,
I mean, so you can have
that.
You can have somebody. You could be watching your front side. You could be playing, and at the same token, you could have one of your teammates watching your six in the third-person perspective. And from that point, you'll know that hey, you're about to be flanked at this point, so you can be ready for it.
Absolutely.
So it's just one of those things, kind of looking over and having the chance of being able to see these players and some of their emotions. I know whenever I took a look over there at War and Peace at one moment after they got taken out, I mean the headphones were already coming off, and just sitting there and thinking about it. So there's so much that that goes through whenever you're playing a game. I mean, there's different elements. You can either take yourself out of the game, or you can help your team kind of progress. But also make sure that if you want your chance to be able to win, that the new Samsung Galaxy Tab 2, you can head over to facebook.com/WCG USA and enter into the contest. Make sure you like that Facebook page. And so let's see here. We are asking you to pair up your favorite comic book hero. So your favorite comic book hero.
Right. Favorite comic book hero. I don't. You know what? I don't
wow,
know.
you're at New York Comic Con, and you come in here.
But you caught me off guard there. I wasn't really ready for that. I'm gonna have to think about that, and I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. You want a valid answer. You want a good, solid, concrete.
Sure. I'm not gonna just give any answer. I gotta think about this.
All right, you just swayed me back into that one. So against a video game villain. So your favorite comic book hero against your video game villain. Who would win and why? And leave your comment for a chance to win. That's an interesting idea. So head on over to that Facebook page at facebook.com/WCG USA. And also make sure you check out some of the other stuff that's going on here on the twitch.tv side. So go over to the New York Comic Con event that's hosted there by WCG for coverage with panels and interviews and more from New York Comic Con at twitch.tv/WCG NYCC. We've got 2 more matchups left. Curse goes on into the final.